Have you ever felt like no one truly understands you? Like you're walking a path that seems invisible to others, isolated, yet purposeful? If that sounds familiar, you might be what some call a chosen one. And no, that doesn't mean you're perfect or better than anyone else. It means you've been called by life, by spirit, by the universe to grow in ways most people can't yet imagine. But here's the truth. The journey of a chosen one is not easy. In fact, it's one of the most difficult paths a soul can walk. From the outside, it may seem like chosen ones isolate themselves out of pride, rebellion, or even arrogance. People often assume they've cut ties because they think they're better than everyone else. But that couldn't be further from the truth. What most people don't see is the inner transformation that demands solitude, not out of hate or detachment, but out of necessity. The chosen one doesn't walk alone because they want to. They walk alone because they must. This path is filled with spiritual awakenings, emotional purging, and intense self-reflection. It's about peeling back layers of illusion, healing past wounds, and reconnecting with a deeper, often forgotten truth about who we really are. And along the way, the chosen one realizes something important. Not everyone can walk this road with you. Not everyone will understand why you're changing. Not everyone will support your growth, especially if it challenges their comfort zones. You see, spiritual growth shifts your energy, your entire frequency. It changes how you think, what you value, and how you show up in the world. Suddenly, conversations that once felt normal now feel empty. Activities that once brought joy now feel meaningless. People you once laughed with now look at you as if you've changed, and you have. And that's not a bad thing. But it does make relationships harder to maintain, especially when you're growing in ways others aren't ready to. As your awareness expands, you start seeing through things, lies, illusions, masks people wear, and even your own self-deceptions. You begin to notice how much of the world runs on fear, control, and unconscious habits. And while this realization can be liberating, it can also be deeply isolating. Because suddenly, you're no longer the same person your loved ones used to know. And they might not know how to relate to you anymore. They might even push back, criticize you, or try to bring you back to who you used to be. But the truth is, you can't go back. Once you wake up, you can't pretend to be asleep again. So, many chosen ones end up distancing themselves, not because they don't love their family, their friends, or their partners, but because the energy around them starts to feel heavy. It becomes draining to constantly explain yourself, to defend your choices, to hide your growth just to keep others comfortable. It's like trying to bloom in a garden where the soil no longer nourishes you. You're still a flower, but you're meant to grow elsewhere. This doesn't mean you look down on others. In fact, chosen ones often carry deep compassion, but they also carry a strong sense of purpose, an inner calling that won't be ignored. And to honor that calling, they often need space. Silence! Time to reconnect with their intuition, their higher self, and the divine guidance that leads them forward. That space isn't a rejection of others. It's a sacred act of self-preservation. You see, energy is everything. And chosen ones tend to feel everything on a deeper level. They absorb emotions like sponges. They notice subtle shifts in a room, unspoken tensions in conversations, and vibrations in people's words, even when those people aren't aware of it themselves. That level of sensitivity is a gift, but it can also be exhausting, especially when you're surrounded by people carrying unhealed pain, unresolved trauma, or negative energy they haven't dealt with. Even the people who love you most can unintentionally drain your energy. It's not their fault. It's just that they may not be on the same journey, and their energy reflects that. And over time, the chosen one begins to recognize how important it is to protect their peace. Because their energy isn't just for themselves, it's for the purpose they've been called to fulfill. When you're constantly around energy that pulls you down, it's hard to rise. It's hard to stay clear, focused, and in tune with your mission. So solitude becomes more than a preference. It becomes a form of survival. A sacred space where you can breathe, recalibrate, and listen to the wisdom within you. But make no mistake, solitude doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like loneliness. Sometimes it feels like being misunderstood, unseen, and unheard. It can be painful, especially when the people you love don't get why you're pulling away. But chosen ones begin to understand that not everyone is meant to walk every part of the journey with you. Some people are only with you for a season. Others are there to teach you lessons. And a few rare souls will walk beside you for the long haul. But for the most part, the deepest parts of your growth will happen in quiet when no one else is around. And that's where the magic happens. In that stillness, you begin to hear the voice of your soul. You start to see your life from a higher perspective. You recognize patterns, heal past wounds, and receive downloads that shift your entire reality. You realize that being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. It means being chosen to do inner work that the world desperately needs, but few are willing to do. In your solitude, you transform. You learn how to be your own source of strength, your own source of validation, your own best friend. You stop seeking approval from others and start trusting your own guidance. You start creating from a place of alignment rather than fear. And you begin to embody a new frequency, one that lifts not just yourself, but everyone you eventually come into contact with. Eventually, the loneliness turns into empowerment. The silence turns into wisdom. And the isolation becomes a sacred cocoon where the old you dies and the real you is born. So if you found yourself pulling away from people lately, if you felt like your energy is too sensitive, your thoughts too deep, your heart too full of truths that no one else seems to understand, you are not crazy. You are not broken. You are awakening. And awakening isn't glamorous. It's messy. It's painful. It's full of letting go. But it's also the most beautiful thing you'll ever experience, because it leads you back to who you really are, beyond the conditioning, beyond the expectation, beyond the noise. And once you've walked through that fire, once you've faced your shadows, healed your wounds, and remembered your worth, you'll look back and realize why you had to walk alone for a while. Not forever, just long enough to find yourself again. So if this message finds you at the perfect time, type 111 in the comments as a sign that you're open to divine blessings on your journey. And if you feel seen, understood, or even a little more hopeful after reading this, go ahead and like this message, subscribe for more, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another insight that speaks to your soul. You're not alone. You're just becoming who you were always meant to be. There comes a time in the life of a chosen one when the noise of the world becomes unbearable, not because the world itself has changed, but because they have. Somewhere deep within, a quiet whisper grows louder, urging them to retreat, to separate, to withdraw. This isn't about running away. It's about returning to the self. For the chosen ones, solitude isn't loneliness, it's sacred ground. It's in the stillness that they begin to hear what the chaos has long drowned out, their truth. They begin to distance themselves from the environments that once seemed harmless, but are now energetically draining. They pull away from conversations that feel empty, places that buzz with distraction, and people whose energy feels heavy, conflicting, or even hostile. The need to be alone isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. In that solitude, they begin to recharge. Their inner compass recalibrates. Their mind clears. Their spirit realigns. Without interference, they begin operating at a higher vibration, one that cannot thrive in noise. This need for retreat isn't new. Throughout the ages, spiritual masters, enlightened beings, and profound thinkers have known this truth well. Jesus spent 40 days in the wilderness. Buddha meditated beneath the Bodhi tree. Prophets, sages, mystics, all of them, at some point, chose solitude. Why? Because the divine does not scream, it whispers. And to hear it clearly, one must become still. In that stillness, the chosen ones of today continue the lineage of sacred withdrawal. They know, consciously or not, that true growth does not happen in crowds. It happens in caves, deserts, forests, bedrooms with candles lit and journals open, where silence is deep enough to echo. Growth is not a public spectacle. It is an inward revolution. It begins with the courage to sit with oneself, to look into the mirror and ask the hard questions. Who am I becoming? What am I still holding on to? What is calling me forward? These aren't questions that can be answered over brunch or during a scroll through social media. They require silence, patience, and brutal honesty. They require time away from the world's expectations and the ego's tricks. That's why chosen ones disappear, not to vanish, but to emerge transformed. As this transformation begins, they start to outgrow many things, habits, hobbies, even whole identities. And most painfully, people. The friendships that once felt vibrant now feel dull. The conversations that once flowed now hit walls. The places that once felt like home begin to feel foreign. It's not that the world has suddenly shifted. It's that their soul has expanded and the old skin no longer fits. This evolution can feel lonely, especially when those around them don't understand the shift. Friends may label them as distant. Family may think they've become arrogant, cold, or too spiritual. But the chosen one knows better. They haven't become too much. They've simply become who they were always meant to be. And that version of themselves cannot thrive in spaces that want them to remain small. This is where the real test begins. To stay in the comfort of familiarity or to walk away and honor their growth. Chosen ones choose the latter. They choose the uncomfortable path, the one that leads through solitude, not because they want to be alone, but because their soul demands it. They walk away from what no longer feeds them, even if it breaks their heart, because staying would mean silencing their truth, and that's no longer an option. They start to realize not everyone is meant to understand their vision. In fact, some of the people closest to them are the very ones who subtly or overtly sabotage their dreams. Not always out of malice, but often out of fear, jealousy, or their own limitations. A chosen one might share a new idea, a bold plan, a divine calling, and be met with doubt, laughter, or dismissiveness. These moments are painful, but clarifying. They begin to see that not all company is good company. Not all support is genuine. So they start moving in silence. They learn to protect their vision like a sacred flame, shielding it from winds that might extinguish it too soon. They stop explaining themselves. They stop justifying their shifts. Instead, they trust the pull of their spirit. They speak less and do more. They trust that the right people will feel their energy and align without needing to be convinced. And those who don't, they let them go with love, but without hesitation. A chosen one's path is not about perfection. It's about purpose. And that purpose is bigger than them. They are not here to simply live, pay bills, and die. They are here to disrupt cycles, to break generational curses, to heal wounds they didn't cause but were born to close. They are here to lift the vibration of their lineage and lead by example. That kind of mission doesn't come with ease. It comes with sacrifice. While others chase momentary pleasures, chosen ones often walk away from them. Not because they don't enjoy joy, but because they're chasing legacy, not validation. They're planting seeds they may never see bloom, knowing the garden is not just for them, but for generations to come. This requires strength, focus, patience, and above all, unwavering trust in their intuition. Intuition becomes their greatest guide. It's a force they can't explain but can't ignore. Sometimes they feel the need to leave a room, end a relationship, or abandon a project with no concrete reason. Just a knowing, a whisper, a pull, and they listen, even when others don't understand. Especially then. It's not that they don't love those they leave behind. In fact, it's because of that love that they walk away, because staying would breed resentment, self-betrayal, and spiritual stagnation. The chosen one must keep moving, must keep growing, must keep evolving. Their soul is on assignment, and time is precious. The transformation isn't always graceful. There are nights of doubt, days of isolation, and moments of longing. But with each step, they become lighter, clearer, stronger. They begin to see why the separation was necessary. They begin to hear their own voice again, stronger than ever. They start building something that cannot be taken away. Inner peace, self-awareness, divine alignment. If you're reading this and something inside you is nodding, know this: you're not alone. You're not strange. You're not broken. You are awakening. You are becoming. You are remembering who you truly are. You may have outgrown people you still love. You may feel called to step away from circles you once prayed to be part of. That's okay. It doesn't make you cold, it makes you conscious. This is what transformation looks like. It is raw. It is messy. And it is real. Your path may not be understood now, but one day it will be respected. You will become the proof. The one who didn't settle. The one who followed the call. The one who turned pain into purpose and silence into strength. This journey isn't for everyone. That's why you were chosen. Because you have the soul, the stamina, and the strength to carry it. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep walking, even when it's alone. Because in truth, you're never alone. You walk with the ancestors, the angels, the divine force that called you in the first place. Every step you take in faith sends ripples through the unseen. And everything that is meant for you is already aligning in the background, waiting for you to become the version of you that's ready to receive it. So don't fear the distance. Don't mourn the solitude. Embrace it. It's not punishment. It's preparation. And when the time comes, when your light is fully formed and your purpose undeniable, the world will see what you've always known deep down, that you were never meant to fit in because you were born to stand out. You were chosen for a reason. If this message found you at the right time, type 111 in the comments to confirm your divine alignment. If your soul resonated with these words, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to keep receiving powerful reminders on your journey. Stay grounded. Stay rising. Stay true. You are chosen, and your journey is only just beginning.